off. So we want to sort of encourage a reverence for good, basic ingredients. Nothing there except 1, 4, 5. The blues, 1, 4, 5. I'm not even going into popular idiom variants of these harmonies because I'm trying to keep us focused on preparation for more traditional harmony. But you definitely want to have respect for 1, 4, and 5 and know how to use them artistically. That leads us to standard progressions. Now, standard progressions, in a way, we've already covered a lot of standard progressions because sequences are standard progressions. But here are some others. Well, 1, 6, 4, 5, I talked about a fair bit of length. That's the old heart and soul, cliché. Now, when I use the word cliché, I'm not using it in a derogatory sense at all. I think musical clichés are really important in building up a repertoire of things that sound good. They sound good, they've been tried and tested. Composers have been using them for hundreds of years. There's no shame in beginning a piece on the tonic chord and ending it with a perfect cadence. So these cliches are, I think, are a way of increasing harmonic awareness. The one that I'm finding really fun these days is the second. And I don't know how many people here have seen a really funny video posted on YouTube. There's an Australian rock comedy group called the Axis of Awesome, and they really are awesome. They're very funny. And they have a video called 4 Chords. Have people seen it? A few. Don't decide today that the first thing you're going to do when your 9-year-old student enters the room is push the play button. There are different versions of this on YouTube, and some of them have some profanity, so you might want to do a little screening. You can find a studio version. There's at least one version which is a bit cleaned up. But the content is hilarious. The premise is that every hit in the last 40 years has had 4 chords in it, has used 4 chords, these 4 chords, 1, 5, 6, 4. And then they proceed to prove it by singing this medley, this very intensely put together medley of, I don't know how many songs, but at least 50 songs that all use the same chord progression. So I had a little bit of fun with this with one of my students. So she wanted to play a piece. There was a piece she was hankering after, and she said, I'd like to learn how to figure this out, because we do a lot of our repertoire without music. It's a standard component. Every student in my studio has to always be working on something that doesn't have music. So she wanted to do Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King. I said, oh, that's a great song. Let's do it in, and I don't know how we ended up on B flat, because that's vocally not really the best key, but we did end up in B flat. We figured out the melody, we figured out the chords, we figured out some sort of accompaniment style that had some nice broken chords in the left hand, a little bit of flow. It sounded really good. So that project came to an end. She was playing it for everyone who would listen. And then the next song she wanted to do was something quite current, Jason Mraz, I'm Yours. Does everybody know that song? It's had a lot of airplay. And I thought, oh, I think I sense a theme here. But I didn't tell her. I said, okay, let's do it in B flat. She said, why? We always change keys. don't we usually try to do a new key? And I said, oh, yeah, we normally do, but you know, you've been so good, let's just do a B flat. So we got it all worked out. It's got a little bit of a reggae groove. We got a nice arrangement going. She was playing it for everyone who would listen. And then I still hadn't said anything. And then the next project, about a month later, she said, my dad's been playing the guitar a lot lately. There's a song I really want to do. It's an old Beatles song. I thought, good, I'll know it. Let it be. I said, oh, Molly, this one has to be a B. It only works in B flat. Now that goes against everything I believe, but I was having a little bit of fun. Something was funny. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but there was something going on. I probably had a huge grin on my face. So I had bookmarked a sort of clean version of the Axis of Awesome video. I said, I think we should watch something together. And we did it in the lesson, and yes, I charged for it. We sat down and watched Axis of Awesome, and all 3 songs are dealt with quite quickly within the first few minutes of the video. And she was shrieking with laughter. She said, oh, this changes everything. I'm still not sure how it changes everything, but it was one of those aha light bulb moments for her, for sure. So she's now working on composing her own great hits, 4-chord songs. So we all laugh in the studio now about 4-chord songs, and everyone's actually trying not to write 4-chord songs. Saying, well, I'm writing a song, but it's not going to be a 4-chord song. It's going to have 5 chords. 6 chords. I'm going to use 3-6-4 as my second chord, as my lead. So what are some other cliches that we know very well? Does anyone know that bass line? Have you ever heard it before? It's a very special bass line. What am I playing? Well, at the moment I could be playing anything, any number of pieces. It could be one of at least 1 million pieces, but what if I do this? So it's Dido's Lament from Purcell's opera, Dido and Aeneas. This apparently in 1689 was how you said, I am unhappy. It's always been how you say you're unhappy. Jim Croce's very melancholy Time in the Bottle. What else uses this progression? What doesn't use this progression? There are many, many pieces which employ a descending chromatic bass line. So that's what I mean by musical cliche. And we can tap into them, we have a lot of fun with them. I can find something 300 years old, or I can see what's playing on the radio a lot, if people still know what radios are, or what's loaded on my students' iPods now. And I can find examples of that particular musical cliche. So, not a cliche because it's bad, but because it is a standard progression. We've talked about a lot of standard progressions already. Heart and Soul, what else have we got here that uses a standard progression? Maybe this. or going to often expected and sometimes unexpected places. That was just not a chromatically descending baseline, but a diatonically descending baseline. How many pieces have that as their underlying harmonic structure? We couldn't possibly know. It's just a very beautiful, effective, and pervasive harmonic foundation. Ascending patterns. Well, I like to have a little bit of fun with this. Sometimes I won't pull it out until history class. How do you harmonize an ascending chromatic scale? Much practical application. This is very difficult chromatic harmony. It's meant to be more of a music joke when I take out the Wagner. But that is one way you could harmonize an ascending chromatic melody if you had to. You can always refer to Wagner. And then two fives. So we already looked at how much fun you can have with basic cadential progression. There are whole pieces built on it. That's a diatonic 2/5. Things like Satin Doll and Old Jazz Standard is just built on 2/5s. So this is another kind of cliche that you can explore with students.